I'm Meg McSherry. I'm the owner of Courage Health and Wellness and one of the therapists and strategic coaches here as well. Our focus is to give you tools and strategies and treatments that we know work and work quickly because they've been proven to. And so one of the things about iRest is that it's also evidence-based and proven to work. It's okay if you weren't able to join us last week, because Jen, who I'm bringing on in just a few moments, that's going to teach us the practice, she's going to give you a recap so that you can get caught up on anything that you may have missed if you weren't able to join us last week. So today in particular, we're going to be focusing on, or Jen is going to help us to add to the inner resource that we've started to tap into and acknowledge: words. You know, words only have meaning because we attach a meaning to them. And oftentimes we only notice that when we have a negative reaction, but it also works the same way with positive emotions. Certain words for us, and they're very individual, they can create wonderful positive meanings, whether it's calm or whether it's excitement or whether it's motivation. And so that's going to be part of the specific focus today, is adding that to our inner resource that we can tap into at any time to create certainty. And right now is a period of great uncertainty for everyone, but this tool is not just for when things are very uncertain, but for any kind of stressors of daily life that we will always experience to some extent. So for those of you all that don't know Jen, just a brief history: Jen Baradi, she has been studying yoga and teaching for 20 years. And now she's added to that practice of her iRest that she's become certified in. And I met Jen a couple years ago at an iRest immersion training, and I knew right away that she and I had a commonality of great compassion and desire to help people, and not only to help them, but to give them tools that would be lifelong tools that would really help the person with anything and everything that life kind of throws at us. So I'm going to bring her on in just a moment. At the bottom of your screen, there's a Q&A box. I'll be with you here the entire time. If you have a question, a concern, and certainly your thoughts and comments, we always like to see those and hear those. There'll be a time at the end of the practice, if you're able to stay a few minutes longer, to share any comments, observations, and questions as well. So I'm going to turn it over to Jen. Hi, Jen. I'm so glad that you're here with us today. And from Canada, Jen comes from Canada. So it's so cool that you're able to be with us, and we really appreciate it.
And I'm grateful and delighted to be with all of you again today. And just before I start, I just wanted to remind you to maybe grab a pencil and paper to write with, because you might find it useful during our practice. So just before I start about this inner resource tool, a little bit about iRest for those just joining in today. Courage Health and Wellness offers science-backed therapies, so iRest Integrative Restoration fits well. This is all thanks to the work of Dr. Richard Miller, providing healing to military veterans, and iRest research and therapies continue all over the world. So as we discussed last time, inner resource, it's a safe haven, refuge, residing within, providing internal felt sense, security, well-being. You can return to it at a moment's notice. It supports you in discovering this everlasting security, okayness within us. So just let's review the first way so we can build on it. We visualized and listed imagery, welcoming whatever emerged or didn't emerge. Places, real or imagined, memories, past images, life's moments, activities, people, just welcoming. There's no wrong or right. And then you can decide which ones actually are meaningful to you. And you'll know that they're meaningful because as you say them or remember them, there's a felt sense, maybe relaxation in the body, a sigh of relief, a smile. And if you're unsure, just putting stars beside one or some of them that bring the greatest ease. And then afterwards, to enliven this imagery, a way of deeply connecting to the inner resource, we used our five senses. For example, maybe somebody thought a garden was their inner resource. So imagining the beautiful floral scent, a rainbow of colors, smell of fresh cut grass, beaming sunshine, a light breeze. So just using any kind of imagery. You can just recheck the one that you did last time, if that's helpful. So the second way that we're introducing today is using words. Dr. Richard Miller says, your inner resource is a powerful friend that's always with you. You may have a friend or a loved one who knows just what to say to soothe and comfort you whenever you're being hard on yourself or having a hard time. When we're connected and trust our own inner resource, we are that powerful friend. In my early 20s, I moved away from home for the first time, and I went all the way to the other side of the world, to Asia. I was close to my family. I had dear friends, some I've known since kindergarten, and I was leaving behind a boyfriend I loved. Two different friends gifted me with affirmation books, positive statements for 365 days as emotional support and encouragement. I carried these two little books around everywhere until they became quite worn out and dog-eared. The idea is repeating these statements several times, and that day, or at least for that moment, believing every word. I'm good, worthy, and deserving of love, well-being, and wisdom. That's one of my dearest affirmations, and I still say them almost daily. With iRest, using words that are meaningful and special as a way to help us tap into our inner resource, that trusted, safe place of ease within all of us, always there, all the time. And this connects to John Gottman's research, the magic ratio 5-to-1. You may have come across this study. For successful relationships, there needs to be 5 positives for every 1 negative. So repeating positive affirmations, comforting words over and over helps us to get out of negative feelings and emotions. Being in a more positive space helps us respond with greater control rather than react on impulse. And also helps overcome this brain wiring, this brain's tendency for negativity. We process negative information quicker and more noticeably than non-negative events. So to overcome this negativity bias with repetition of positive, helpful, caring, and loving words to ourselves is so important. So to build on the imagery practices, what words might accompany this imagery? And upon hearing them, bring the most well-being. And just as before, you know it because as you gaze at it or experience it, there's a felt sense of ease, maybe relaxation in the body, sigh of relief or smile. And if there's more than one, just list whatever comes or doesn't come. Maybe putting stars beside one or some, later deciding which brings the greatest ease. Words might be calm, happiness, security, peace, quiet, okayness. So I'll just give you a few moments to welcome any words that imprint a sense of ease or calm, that felt sense of your inner resource. And hopefully you had enough time to write down some meaningful words, and remember the practice goes beyond our time together. So you can continue to build on all of this after we're done today. So just to recap, Dr. Richard Miller says, your inner resource is a powerful friend that's always with you. So combining these tools of imagery and accompanying words can bring this powerful friend closer, now in 2 ways to recognize your ease and calm, using imagery and words to soothe and comfort you whenever you're being hard on yourself or having a hard time. Now, as you're developing your inner resource, perhaps using imagery and words little and often, whenever, when you first wake up, making that morning coffee, during long meetings, before sleeping. So this habit becomes comfortable, and you can use it whenever you need to feel ease or calm. So now I'd like to invite all of you to experience an iRest, Integrative Restoration guided mindfulness practice. It supports the relaxation response. You'll be guided by my voice alone. Just begin by positioning your body to feel completely at ease. Laying down, sitting, standing, or moving. And it's completely okay if you fall asleep or stay completely alert and awake. Just come as you are. And being open to about 20 minutes iRest guided practice, focusing on this inner resource with some body and breath scanning. And as I invite inner resource, you're welcome to visualize and use your own imagery and words that you've been developing, or welcome in the ones I offer. And if you experience any discomfort, just open your eyes or ground your feet firmly, find movement, and Meg will be here with us, so you can connect with her if you need to during iRest. With your eyes open or closed, taking a few moments to settle in. Welcome sensations where the body touches various textures, surfaces you're resting on. Temperature of the environment. Any sounds inside or outside of the room. Sense your entire body and mind settling into feeling calm and at ease. And if you could be more relaxed, make any adjustments to bring calm and ease throughout your body and mind. Experience your inner resource, a safe haven, refuge that helps you feel secure, safe, loved, and at ease. Using your 5 senses, allowing it to become fully alive. Perhaps a place in nature. Sitting in a garden. floral scent. Gorgeous colors. Smell of fresh cut grass. Beaming sunshine. A light breeze. Perhaps an imagined place. Sitting on a cloud. Weightless, floating. Wind. Vibrant sunshine. Or a memory. Being held or holding a loved one. Their gentle heartbeat. Their natural familiar scent. Warmth. Textures of clothing. Perhaps words. Calm. Happiness. Security. Peace. Quiet. Okayness. Words bringing calm. Recognize and affirm that you can come back to your inner resource at any time in your daily life and during your practice of iRest. Whenever you feel the need for being secure, safe, loved, and at ease. Allowing my words to be your words as your attention floats through your body. without thinking. Welcoming sensations in the jaw, lips, tongue lingering, touching the back of the teeth. Roof of the mouth. Resting on the floor of the mouth. Coolness through the nostrils. Diffusing to the back of the head. Sensing the outer anatomy of the ears. Diffusing into the inner ear. Eyelids soft. Eyes, maybe some movement still. All coming to stillness. Forehead. Arms, palms, and fingers. Torso and pelvis. Legs, feet, and toes. Without needing to shift or soften anything. Trusting our direct experience as we sense into the unified body. Dissolving into the textures, the spaces around it. Revealing unchanging awareness. And the felt sense of your inner resource of calm and well-being. Sense the body breathing itself. Fullness of the body as the breath flows in. Emptying of the body as breath flows out. bringing awareness of the natural flow of air and sensation in the body, through the nostrils, down the throat. Inhaling cool air, breath gently flows down. Chest and belly rising and releasing with each breath. Exhaling warm breath gently floats out. Attention resting on the body breathing itself. Inhale coolness. Exhale warmth. Abundance, movement of energy diffusing into every corner, every cell. If helpful, interweaving your inner resource of being and well-being throughout your entire body. Feeling secure and peaceful. Changing sensations, revealing unchanging awareness. Imagine going about your daily life. Awareness awake and aware of itself. Sense and affirm how in each moment you always know the perfect and precise response to each situation in life. Taking your time now as you transition back into your waking life. Welcome sensations where the body touches the various textures and surfaces you've been resting on. Any sounds inside or outside of the room. And when it feels right, opening and closing your eyes several times. Finding movement, wiggling fingers and toes. Allowing the feeling of well-being to remain with you as you move back into your daily life. Coming fully back to your eyes wide awake in this present moment. Alert and grateful for taking this time for yourself in the practice of iRest. Thank you so much for your patience today. I'll turn it over to Meg for any questions.
Thank you, Jen. That was wonderful as always. And so please, we'd really like to hear any questions you have and any feedback, thoughts. And so we have a question about elaborating on inner resources. It is both, using imagery and words if you like. And really, Jen, you can answer this better. My understanding is that you can use just the imagery or the words or the combination of words. And then next week, we're going to be adding another piece to that. But Jen, please give your thoughts about using both or just one or the other.
So I guess for inner resource, ultimately, inner resource is something that's unchanging. It's that unchanging awareness that exists in all of us. But to tap into it, for some of us, we've been very disconnected from this inner resource, this intuition, this being, whatever you want to call it. So imagery, using your five senses to enliven an imagery of this beautiful place can bring us back to inner resource. And then maybe to even make it more connected, we might use words that are accommodating, so peace and quiet. And then next week, the felt sense actually brings us even the closest because you're feeling into your body. So we're very good at feeling what stress is, which is usually like tight jaws or tight shoulders. But we've forgotten how to feel into this calmness that has always existed in us since we were born. And we'll be going over that next week. So I hope all of you can join to learn just another tool and another way to bring us closer to that being, that inner resource that's calm and safe, that's always with us and has always been there. I hope that kind of helps.
Things that came up for words in particular: peace, joy, love, faith, determination. That's a great one. Believe, also very empowering. Compliment, Jen, of thanks and gratitude. And using the serenity with the imagery was found to be very helpful. One person mentioned, which is great. There is a question about words of wisdom for how to keep the positive thoughts and words in your life and relationships. So, Jen, would you like to answer that? And I'll give my thoughts as well, in regard to if someone is just noticing and having awareness that they're having a low day or low moment, what they can do in regard to shifting into a more positive thought or using words to do that.
I guess I would go back to, so there's an iRest sort of philosophy or thinking that, everything comes together. And I always think of it as a coin. So sadness and happiness always coexist. Mm-hmm. So perhaps by knowing this, and we already know about our negativity bias, and we already know that we need to have 5 positives for every 1 negative, just knowing all of that, you might feel more comfortable to be okay with welcoming whatever arrives. So if sadness is arriving, once you've let it emerge and expand, it often just disintegrates on its own. So change always kinds of happens. And wherever there's sadness, that happiness is just behind it as well. So by allowing and welcoming the sadness to come, this happiness may just come soon after on its own. So I don't know what you want to say for that, Meg.
I absolutely agree with you. And to add on just a piece of that, our brain it demands that we notice any negative thoughts or feelings. And so we all know too, I think, that what we usually do that we don't enjoy very much is we either fight against it and it makes us think about another negative thought or another painful memory, or we get into some kind of avoidance or distraction to get a break from or get away from it. And that can be some things I've mentioned before, like eating too much or not eating at all, sleeping, binging on TV, internet, that sort of thing. So the brain, so what I have found with mindful practice, and I teach some specific practices around this as well, which we'll be offering in the future, is how to acknowledge and notice the negative thought and feeling without getting sucked into it, without fighting with it, and without having to distract ourselves to get away from the discomfort. And so a practice like being able to just take a moment, and the great thing about iRest is that, right, you can do it anywhere at any time and very quickly. So you could even do this as you're walking. You don't, if it's not, if you're in a meeting or you're talking to someone, like sitting down, closing your eyes might not work very well. But you can just take a moment to very quickly notice your breath or any other sensation. And Jen walked us through different pieces to focus on. And then just notice the thought or the feeling. And then the option then is to bring in the inner resource at that time gently. And oftentimes that, I think, Jen, I don't know about your thoughts, but that makes the space more comfortable to then be able to look at or feel the negative thought or feeling when we're already in that inner resource. And so that can be done really quickly. And just like with anything, though, if we're practicing it with intention daily, which doesn't mean you have to set aside a whole 30 minutes or anything like that. It can just be a couple of minutes or 5 minutes. Then when we really need it, we're already in the habit or in the pattern of doing that and remembering to use that. Oh, I've got this. I can just take a moment. What are your thoughts about that, Jen?
Yeah, I agree with everything you said, basically. Yeah, I guess the key is just welcoming whatever arises. And as you practice more of these tools, like you said, in moments that you're not in high stress, it becomes more familiar. So when you are in high stress or in a challenging situation, you'll know right away, go into inner resource, and you can welcome whatever that emotion is,
Mm-hmm.
and then watch it disappear. Because it often, change is one thing we can be sure of. And sadness doesn't, usually doesn't last the whole time. There is some joy behind that sadness somewhere, even if it's just little droplets of it.
Mm-hmm. Great. So one of my thoughts about that very quickly, and then we'll move on, is that it's about acceptance. Again, our natural tendency is to fight or to avoid and distract. And so by being able to accept that it's okay no matter what thought or feeling we're having. We all have, our brain produces all sorts of embarrassing, mean, even at times, negative, sad thoughts. And there's no way to eliminate or stop those. So this, going into your inner resource is a way to be able to get the brain to, or acknowledge for your brain that you're seeing that warning, which is what that is, a warning from the survival wiring of our brain. Anytime anything negative shows up, our brain is trying to alert us out of protection. But that is a way to be able to say, okay, I see you, and it's okay, you can be there. There might be some other folks that have some helpful thoughts on this as well. So if you would like to share what you do mindfully when negative thoughts show up as well, I'll give a moment for people to make comment on that if they would like. There's also things like, if you found your word today, I love to use index cards or Post-it notes. And folks that work with me, they know that. And so having that word posted somewhere as a helpful reminder, the word is not enough. So saying the word, and that's why there's the imagery that Jen started with, right? Because it's about the feeling the word creates. Logically, the word is not enough. We must connect to the word in an emotional way to shift into that feeling. So If there's a question you think of later or something that shows up for you, please either write it down and bring it next time, or you can always email us. Thank you, Jen. As always, I always get a lot out of the practices as well. I think the time flew by, and always does when you're doing iRest practice. So thank you for that. It's a nice way to start the weekend off. Another thanks. You're very welcome. And so we will see you then. Take care. Bye-bye.